But finally, the painful truth did emerge. A Freedom of Information Act request produced Marine Corps statistics that revealed the dirty little secret. For years, minorities at officer candidate school had routinely been kicked out at much higher net rates than whites. It was reported in the New York Times, the Good Morning America, LA Times, and the front page of the Washington Post. After years of being ignored by the mainstream press, we finally got the sort of attention that this issue deserved. It was a great victory, but it appeared to be fleeting. So as you can see, it just didn't happen. I mean, it was fits and starts. There's a victory, and then months go by nothing. And really doubts about what you're doing, whether this is ever going to end. And I think oftentimes that was the hardest. It's not knowing, the uncertainty of it. That we were going to do our thing, but in the end we were going to lose. It was a great victory, but it appeared to be fleeting. The Marine Corps dug in its heels, and once again the case fell. Months went by again. But finally, during a CBS 60 Minutes investigation of discrimination in the Marine Corps, the Commandant, a 4-star general of national television, said in response to a question about these statistics, simply replied that minorities don't shoot that well, they don't swim that well, and when you give them a compass on a night navigation course, they don't do well at that sort of thing. Needless to say, these remarks provoked a groundswell of outrage and support for the case. Proven by statistics, substantiated by multiple IG investigations, I was finally commissioned a captain in the Marine Corps at the House Armed Services Committee room on Capitol Hill. Most importantly, Marine Corps policies and procedures were changed forever. Their standing operating procedures were revamped to strictly prohibit discrimination, unfair treatment, and sexual harassment. Reforms that would benefit not just Japanese Americans, but all Americans. It took 5 long years, but justice. It was a painful journey of discovery for me, the Marine Corps and our government. It was an awakening to lessons which made me a better American indeed. The lesson that patriotism is not just valor on the battlefield, not just a Christmas salute, but also acts big and small to contribute and to make our country live up to its ideals. But those lessons are even more important today in light of all the challenges that we face. Lessons made more meaningful based on the legacy and the sacrifices of generations past. Take a look around this room. The legacy of the lives in all of our cases. The valor of young Japanese Americans who died during World War II. The quiet dignity of those who were sent to internment camps. To the courage of individuals who rose to question unjust laws. Fred Korematsu of Belgium, California, who challenged the exclusion order and the conscience of the nation. Many years ago, while a law student at Georgetown University, we studied Korematsu in the United States. But in those days, I had little appreciation for the sacrifices of generations past. So that morning, my only concern was whether I'd be called on, very frankly. I had participated in the class before, so the way I saw it, I was in the clear. Today is Korematsu v. United States. It's a case of injustice against the Japanese American, Professor Francis Dryden announced, sweeping the room with his eyes, pausing to look at me momentarily. I saw myself I sank in my chair and tried to avoid contact. And I'm sure all of you have had this experience. Out of 120 students, there were only 2 Asians. Mr. Yamashita, he boomed, walking straight toward me. Of course he would pick me. I had barely done the reading. I had nothing to say. I'm embarrassed to say that as a Japanese American in law school, I had not heard of Korematsu before reading the case, nor did I appreciate its landmark significance. The internment was something that happened to people from another time and another place. The struggle for reparations had little direct bearing on my life. I was a third-generation American, born and raised in Hawaii, where we lived in the Asian Pacific majority. I came from a solid, middle-class, professional family. I didn't speak with an accent, other than my Hawaiian accent. I was heading off to the corporate world to make a lot of money. But years later, after my journey to justice, and my awakening, I had the honor of meeting Fred Korematsu. By then, I was humbled and knew him for what he was, a hero not only for Japanese Americans, but for all of them. He had dared to speak out against injustice, no matter what the consequences, at a time when others did. The sacrifices of generations past takes many forms. Field hands on the sugar plantations of Hawaii, dock workers in San Francisco, strawberry farms in Seattle, merchants, artists, teachers, scientists, doctors. Their sacrifices, each in their own way, were made for a better life for us. We honor them, we remember them, and now we must live up to their ways. And this is what I learned about honoring the past and the meaning of patriotism during my journey to justice. And this is what I hope you will ponder as you go forth. A great nation lives up to its ideals, not just in good times when it's easy, but particularly in times of conflict, of insecurity, of vulnerability. That's when a great nation is tested. That's when individuals are tested. That's when a great nation and its citizens rise up to force its government to live up to its ideals. Only then can America truly honor the past and live up to its full potential. Only then can it look to the future and once again be a beacon of hope for justice, equality, and freedom.